Thanks. Same to you.
Ryan's going to be here to talk to Harry. Harry, welcome to F.A.C.E.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Look at that beautiful
Likewise.
Family. Were you gonna share your screen at all, Harry? You have anything to show?
Well,
or you just want to talk?
I just want to talk. There's nothing really to show for me. I mean, it's just
okay.
I actually, you know what? I can.
You could put your mug on.
You put my mug.
Don't scare the kids.
What I'll try and do is, I'll try and get up the website because it's better than my face, and I'll show you, what we do and how we work.
Okay, so thank you very much, Harry. It's a green button, share screen. And Ryan is with us today. There's a little history in the business with Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, we go back to school days. I mean, I don't remember him because he's a bit younger. He's a bit younger.
Considerably younger.
He doesn't look it, but he is considerably younger than I am.
All right, and we're off. All right.
I've only just begun.
Harry, why don't you tell us about kind of your journey in the industry and how you ended up putting together Livesquawk. I remember the little speakers that we would have on our desks, and the analysts would come on every morning, and that was our squawk box type of thing at brokerage houses. And then CNBC had their morning show and called it Squawk Box. And the later versions were sometimes people in a pit. You would hear the S&P pit, the bid offers, the trades. Tell us what you're doing and how you came to develop this product.
Well, just a bit of history about me. I started in the industry back in '88, which is why I'm considered a bit older than Ryan.
Are you sharing your screen, Harry? Otherwise
I tried, and it wasn't working.
Green
but I'll try again. I've got the green button. It's just I'm trying to find the page I need.
Maybe I could do it.
I'll
pull up your website, Harry.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I basically started in the industry back in '88. I worked for a German bank on their settlements division. So I started in the old school, from the back office, middle office, through to the front desk, really.
Okay.
Which is how you used to serve your apprenticeship and get going. Went down to the futures exchange, life market, back in '89, '90, and really did my time there at the German bank. I then went to Cargill, CIS futures, and basically built my knowledge base from there as a broker, initially a futures broker, and moved on to I guess I went to the CME and CBOT in the mid '90s for a year. So I love Chicago, cold or not, I love it. And then really developed again my broking skills. Ran a desk at the age of about 25, 26 back in London at Thales in Tokyo, and then traded for myself. I think in the early 2000s, late nights when the floor finished. Ended up as a prop trader for a little while, and then basically I finished the prop trading side of the business about 2004, 2005. Realized there was a bit of a hole in the market for information.
Yes.
Unless you had a lot of money to start with, having a Bloomberg or Reuters and everything else was prohibitive, really, in terms of you trying to make money on a monthly basis. So you had to get what you could get from where you could get it, and you're very much more on a flow trader, looking at price action and everything else, which is still a good skill to have, as well as the technicals. And from there, I set this business up. It was a case of, I think I know enough about what's happening. I can find stuff out as a broker. You have to be resourceful. We have to, you call upon friends and contacts to give you information and better cover. And I utilized all that in starting the business. So
you also have to be careful what comes across it, right? I mean, you have to deal with compliance issues from regulators. Certain things are no-nos as far as coming across the squawk?
Yeah, I mean, you listen, rumors and all those whisper numbers you have to be very careful of. I mean, you want to corroborate everything you can. There's no point putting out information that it just basically is wrong or just steers people in the wrong direction. We're
And
there as an
do you have to
educator.
stay market neutral, Harry, during your
Yeah,
broadcast?
we're agnostic. We're agnostic. I don't
Okay.
care if the market goes up, down, left, or right. We don't
Right.
trade.
Okay.
We don't have
Okay.
positions or anything like that. So,
Okay. So that's another thing regulators look for, right? If you're making recommendations or have a bias or
exactly.
things like that. So what are the features, and then I'm going to bring Ryan in, the features that most traders really value in your service that helps them? What do you think the main reason is for the attractiveness of your service? I mean, it's not just because it's too quiet in their home office and they just need to hear something. So where's the value for traders? What part of the
What
squawk do you think they really pay attention to?
I think
All
the
of it?
distillation of news, well, all of it, hopefully, but
Yeah.
distillation. We're not
Okay.
there to repeat stuff. We have to pick out the important headlines, the important pieces of news, the important
Okay.
market action, and
So you're also like a
distinguish.
curator for people during the day. You're
Yeah,
curating the news. Okay.
yeah,
All
a
right.
filter. We're there to. Everyone can look at the news if they want and have this. Again, it's prosperity for some, but for us, it's just about our experience over the years. As I've been doing this now for quite a long time, and putting that to use as editor in chief here means that we guide our audiences to what we believe and what is important to their trading day. Market moving events. And also, so again, most importantly, market moving events. We're there to make sure that you don't miss a headline if it moves moves your prices around, but also as a kind of guide as to what's coming out for the day ahead. It's a preparation tool as well. To make sure you're not blindsided by anything that comes out as best as we can. I mean, listen, we're not. Our claim is we don't make you money. We help you not to lose money. So by
That's
not being
interesting.
blindsided,
Okay.
yeah, we're not. You make the money.
Yeah.
You're the trader. That's your job. Our job is to try and make sure you're not blindsided by, especially scheduled news. If there's a scheduled event, we'll make sure you're aware of it, the importance of it, and when it is, and then also bring you that news as it comes out, as it hits the wires.
Is your coverage
And
24/6? What's your coverage?
well, effectively, so we start Sunday evening. That started the Asia session. We're based in London, and we all work through till Friday evening and the US session, US futures session, equity futures session. So
Okay.
that's us pretty much most of the week. And obviously with cryptos, we'll keep an eye on stuff over the weekend and post stuff if we see something interesting.
Do you love what you do?
You have to. It's simple.
Exactly. Right.
If I couldn't listen, trading is as a career is a brilliant one if you can get it right. Second to that, providing the information that makes other people money is up there. Getting the news first. When I was starting out, being quick to the news was my USP, if you like, and I was on a trading floor at the time, and therefore there was a direct feedback to what I put out there from traders, and you know what traders are like,
Yeah.
especially old school. They're your fiercest critics, but you're your best friends if you get it right for them. They won't share your profit, but share the profit. But that feedback.
Yeah, very creative idea to do this in the internet age when it used to come over like I don't know, telephone line or something. You remember those little speakers, Harry? Were you around?
Yeah,
when
I
we
used to
had
do that
those?
as well. Yeah. I used to be on the box, just quoting prices. I just sit at the front of the booth ahead of my traders, and I'd be feeding information back to the desks upstairs.
Nice.
So that is how this. That was my sort of apprenticeship into this, really.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring your childhood friend into this now, Ryan. All right, what a great thing to have a reunion here on Face, you guys. So, why don't you guys, before we get to the markets, tell us about where you guys first met, and did you have a fight on the playground?
Uh, well, I'd have kicked him up all over the playground if I had.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Gloves are off. The funny thing was we met through. I think it was actually when I sort of started at Forex Live.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can't remember how we got in touch. We got in touch, and because we were interested in the service that they offered, and just talking to Harry, we realised, we pretty much followed the same sort of career path. We went to the same school. As stated, Harry was many years ahead of me in age, and
We're talking two.
so we found out we went to the same pubs and done pretty much followed. We've both support the same team, fortunately, and we followed the same path. Yeah, I don't know about that.
No, definitely not.
I have to ask the wife about that. We. I went through the metals. I was on the LME. I started my career same way in the back office, moving through to the front office, down onto the live floor. I vaguely remember having on the live floor, but not to speak to. And so and we got into a business relationship to do with Forex Live, and obviously that's carried on to a fairly good friendship now.
What do you like most about having Squawk on during the trading day, Ryan?
It's twofold. It's getting the news and getting the news fast. If you can be sitting there looking at a chart and ping, you'll hear something in your ear, and it's not. I'm not being dismissive to Harry or the service, but 99% of news is irrelevant. But it's that one headline that you hear that makes a difference. So you can listen to thousands of headlines all day long, read thousands of headlines all day long. It's just the one you need. And, me and Harry, we're sort of trained because we're on the floor and we've been traders and been in the pits. You develop a sense, a hearing sense, if you like, where you can filter out subconsciously the crap you don't want to hear and pick up the stuff you do want to hear. And that's the same with Livesquawk. I couldn't tell you the last 10 headlines, but I'll tell you the big ones that come out. I'll tell you about the China one where the government are saying they're going to, step in and take over the books of Evergrande. I'll hear that one and ping. That gives me a chance to move. It's like, Dale, you get information overload these days, and you learn, and traders should learn how to filter out the crap from what's important, and that's where
it's
squawk is important. Yeah,
it's essential. What I'd say is to that is that the way I train my guys is intonation in your voice is everything. We have three levels of importance, really. The mundane, everyday stuff that comes out on a cyclical basis anyway. You'll have the semi-important stuff that basically maybe frames a current topic or a current situation. And then there's that number one red alert setting, whereby you have to listen to what I have to say, because by listening to what I have to say, it impacts on what you do. And that's the thing. And as I said, we're not a radio station, so we're not constantly speaking, but yes, we do, for different markets, for different traders, for different customers, there are different headlines that matter. But it's really important that when we say something important, we get that across to our audience. And that comes from confidence and knowledge in the markets, knowledge in what we're trying to convey and the subject matter. So that's when it matters.
I know you're probably going to say there's no competition, but because of what you do, you have no competition because you're the best at what you do. Is it saturated?
Saturated. It's interesting because I remember when I started this, you couldn't convince anyone to take the service because back in the day, we've got news, we've got this, all the screens we need, we know what we're doing. It was only when 2008 came that we really saw a demand for our service, and I mean ours as an industry, not just mine. There were 3 or 4 services at the time. It's probably about 5 or 6 now. Some in foreign languages that we're starting to see, which I think is a great thing. So saturation, no, I think there's still a lot of people out there unaware of what we do and the benefit we bring as an industry to to traders. I
It's
really do.
interesting. It's interesting you bring up 2008 when we're in a crisis and markets aren't just going one way. You know, the passive investor genius that just buys spiders and he's a genius because the tide is lifting all boats. It seems that when things aren't just in one direction, people look for guidance. Have you noticed that in your career?
Yeah,
During times of turbulence, they're not really. They find out they're not a genius.
absolutely. You know,
Okay.
in 2008, for me, it was one of the most enlightening times. I've been in the markets. I've been there late 80s. I've seen some of the things that happened. I was there for the sterling falling out, the F.A.C.E and everything else that was going on back in the day. So for me, 2008 was an eye opener, and for some traders, and if you remember before that period, slightly before that period, it was a very benign environment for markets. There wasn't a lot going on. We had earnings out maybe, or there'd be a ratings upgrade, downgrade that moved the markets. But in between that, there was very little going through. 2008 flipped that on its head. Every minute, nearly, at the height of that crisis, there was something happening. A bank going under, a central bank cutting interest rates, just all these things that were happening, and it was like bullets out the dark. And if you hadn't had a service like the Squawk, you quite easily could have been run over, or even more severely run over if you were in the game at the time. And I know it made a lot of people a lot of money back then, but I think we also, more importantly, saved a lot of people from disastrous events, I should say, at the time.
Okay.
So
Since you're out there seeking the news, do you have a harder time getting news out of Asia, especially China, because of their opaqueness? You only get what they let you have, right?
exactly. I mean, we were looking to a few years back. We talked to Shenzhen authorities and this and the other to try and see if we could open up in China and get the service into there and be based or base a unit over there. And it was yeah, of course you can, absolutely, as long as you put out what we tell you to put out. And I said, well, it's not really how we work. We just put out the truth. We're not, it's not tinged by our views. It doesn't matter what we think. It's just news, and it just never happened for that reason. It may happen.
There's one thing you got to remember with Chinese news as well, is that there's always two versions. There's the version they give to their population and the version they put out to us lot in the West.
Right.
And quite often they don't align. It's one thing I learned a few years ago. Yeah, it's one thing I learned a few years ago. Because people think what they're telling us is what's happening in China, where it probably the complete opposite.
Okay. Well, Harry, I want to thank you for coming in on a Friday after a long week. I have your website up here for where people could contact you, and they could follow you on Twitter at Livesquawk. And it's great to go to sleep at night knowing you provide a service to help people reach your goal and add value. So I could tell you're content with the business model and what you're doing in your life. And you know what? That's worth a lot of money. In fact,
absolutely,
you can't buy being content with what you do for a living. I've talked about how much fun we have here in F.A.C.E. We're providing actionable stuff, but we also have a great time and laugh with each other. So it was great to meet you.
No, it's a great pleasure. Thank you, Dale.
Yeah, and
I've known about you for years in the industry, so it's good to talk.
Oh, okay. Well, have a great weekend, Harry, and guys. I think there's something we already have some type of partnership with you, or we're working on one.
Sure.
So check out Harry, and if you're a news junkie, looks like a great source. And that's a wrap for the week. Ryan, thank you for laying it out on the court all week, and you're a great addition to the team. And thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. We hope we add value to what you're trying to accomplish. And just like Harry, our mission is to build up and edify you every day. So,
and as always, a big thank you to you, Dale, for leading the charge as you do all through the week.
I appreciate that, Ryan. So everyone, remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Good luck the rest of the day. And Also, Fridays are a great day to subscribe. You have the whole weekend, and that includes Harry too. Whole weekend to learn to navigate a new thing. Okay, so that's a wrap. Everyone have a great weekend, and we'll be here in force Monday. Adios, and thank you again, Harry.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
See you, Ryan.
Bye.